and welcome back, my fairies. I am Matsuyorific, and we are back with another episode of Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir Season 5. This is going to be episode 10, which is the first part of Kwame's Choice, aka Transmission. And it is going to be a while before we get episode 11 because it's not even done. However, this is a two-parter, so we are going to end up leaving on a cliffhanger. Now, if you are new to this channel, and are not familiar with the way that we do reviews here, basically, I like to talk about what we already know about the episode first, beforehand, and then I'm going to go watch the episode, and then I'll come back and give you guys my initial thoughts and review on the episode. And usually, you guys have art over here to look at while I'm talking. But unfortunately, my tablet is busted. I need a new cable for it. I have a new one coming in the mail right now, but unfortunately, it is not here yet. So instead, I'll just have some footage of me playing Rise of the Sphinx instead. The reason I do this is to avoid copyright because YouTube is notorious with this. And yeah, this is basically just a fun visual that's easy for me to edit and also keeps YouTube from taking down my videos. So, as far as what we already know about this episode, this is kind of an interesting one for me because we do know quite a bit about the setup for this episode, just not what happens afterwards. We know that, as of previous episodes, we know that Marinette has, she's been trying to get herself over Adrian, and in doing so, she's ended up falling for Cat Noir, who we as the audience know is the same person. But she obviously doesn't know that. Tiki knows it though, and Plague has also seen Adrian falling out of love with Ladybug, trying to get himself over her, and instead, he's falling for Marinette. And so again, we get this whole reverse love square going on. But Tiki and Plague are concerned because there has been a history of bad things happening when there are relations between the Ladybug and Black Cat holders. Specifically in episode 8, I believe it was? Yes, in episode 8, we learned that something like this has happened in the past, where the Ladybug and Black Cat holders were in love with each other, but they were from warring kingdoms, and they were not allowed to be together, so instead they wound up giving up their miraculous and running off in secret. But because we only got to learn about this through the memories of the holder while she was a holder, we don't know what actually happened with them afterwards. So that has Marinette thinking that maybe it would be a good idea for her to give up her miraculous if she wants to have an actual relationship with Cat Noir, which is going to be leading into this episode. Now, thanks to Gloob being butts, we already know that they are going to end up together after this episode, because in episode 12, we've seen them actually, we've seen everyone, talking about how, they're together now. Adrian is singing that love song for Marinette, and she's trying to figure out how to talk to Adrian and tell him that she loves him. And at this point, it's actually seem like they're together, but that's probably not going to happen until part 2, episode 11. So we're probably not going to get that this episode, but what we will be getting this episode are new Ladybug and Black Cat holders. We know that Alia is going to be getting the Ladybug Miraculous, so obviously she's going to be Scarabella again, because we know her name from season 4, but we're also getting a new cat holder. And even though they never officially released what her name was going to be before this episode aired, I already kind of pieced together what her name would be due to not being able to post my fan comics on Reddit with their actual titles the way that they are. For those of you who don't know, I make a comic series on Tumblr called Ask Kitty Noir, which focuses on gender-bent cat noir. And I cannot post that on Reddit because apparently the name Kitty Noir with the second part of the name spelled Noire, because that is the feminine spelling of noir. Therefore, it is not a reference to what Bunnix calls present-day cat noir. Well, future Bunnix. It's not a reference to what future Bunnix calls cat noir, which is where I got the name, because I wanted the name to be similar to cat noir so that you know exactly who Kitty Noir is. Because of that, and the fact that we got the Bible leak, which I never looked at because I find that to be disrespectful to the people who created this show, and I'm not just meaning Thomas Astruck, I mean the actual people who are working on the script, working on the story, and planning all of this out, and who come up with these ideas for, hey, let's do this. This is going to be a great surprise to our audience. And then, of course, Gloob just releases stuff out of order and completely ruins the surprises for us. And we get the Bible leaks, which completely ruins the surprises for us. I find that to be really disrespectful to the people who worked really hard on this show, so I never looked at the Bible leaks. But the moderators of Reddit had to look at it so that they could filter things out in case people tried to talk about those Bible leaks. But because of that, and the fact that the name Kitty Noir was getting blocked on Reddit, I am fairly certain that her name is going to be Kitty Noir. Which, excuse me, Gloob, but can you not steal from me, please? Or not Gloob. Oh my goodness, Gloob. Gloob or the buttholes. Excuse me, Zach, but can you not steal from me, please? And yes, it's a joke for those of you who can't understand what humor is. I got some flack for that from someone trying to accuse me of actually accusing them from stealing. It's a joke, you guys. My gosh. This sort of stuff happens all the time, where fans accidentally predict stuff in the show. You know, we're allowed to make jokes. Come on. Regardless, that is my theory for what her name is going to be. And the fandom has pretty much agreed that this is most likely going to be Zoe. And yeah, so Zoe, Kitty Noir. Adriana's coming for you, girl. Alright, well, that's about all that we know from this episode. We don't know who's getting akumatized. It does seem to be a new character. It might be Bob, but it also doesn't quite look like Bob. So we will see who is getting akumatized this episode. I am going to stop rambling now because this intro doesn't normally last 8 minutes, and I'm gonna go watch the episode. So I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, so this was a really interesting episode. So first off, we did not get any confirmation about the new cat holder's name. But we do know, we do finally get confirmation about who he is. I'll still be referring to her as Kitty just because, you know, like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure that's going to be her name. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about the episode. So the episode pretty much starts off just about right after the last one left off, with Marinette still depressed over the fact that she and Cat Noir can't be together. You know, she's accepted that because, you know, she almost got akumatized over the whole thing. And she does seem to understand where Cat Noir is coming from, but she's now even more depressed because, well, she can't have a relationship at all, it seems. Which has Tiki and everyone else very worried about her. Marinette's parents are even worried about her, but they're allowing her to stay home from school, which has all of her friends worried about her as well. And, you know, skipping over the first scene is really just them talking about what's been going on and recapping everything. After that, we cut to the school where we find out, you know, everybody's kind of worried about her, except for obviously Chloe. And she's like, well, it's like, this is so nostalgic for back when she had to ask me for permission to show up at school. And it's like, is this kind of a hint towards what we're getting in the Awakening movie, with her acting like she's Marinette's friend, even though she's clearly not? But Miss Bustier then asks Alia to take Marinette her homework, and she's like, oh, she's about to be like, oh yeah, I could do that, and then Nino interrupts her, and it's like, and then points to Adrian. It's like, oh yeah, actually, no, I can't, but Adrian probably could. Basically setting up for Adrian to go and talk to Marinette and confess his feelings to her. So Adrian takes the homework and agrees to go talk to Marinette, and we get more recap of him talking to Plag, talking about how, it's partially his, aka Cat Noir's fault that she's feeling this way. But he's still a little hopeful that he can make her feel better as Adrian, because now he knows that she did like him as Adrian. So he goes up to her room, her parents show him up there, and she unfortunately turns him away again. And this is it, you guys. For those of you who don't remember, a few episodes back, I did an artwork of Adriana from my What If Adrian Had a Twin Sister series, reacting to Marinette breaking Adrian's heart. This is where that would be, so when we eventually get to season 5 of that series. Still working on that, by the way. I apologize for the wait. It's just that with the show coming out with new episodes, this has kind of been taking priority. There's just been a lot going on, but hopefully when things start slowing down a bit, we'll be able to get back to that. But anyways, so yeah, he tries to talk to her, but she's still like, no, I can't talk to you about this. Nobody knows who I really am. And Adrian's trying to identify with her, be like, I'm the same way. Nobody really knows me. They just know Adrian the model, trying to relate to her and everything. But as far as Marinette thinks, he can't possibly relate to her. And Tiki and Plag were the really interesting parts, because they're watching this whole thing happen. Like, Tiki basically calls Plag out of Adrian's bag, and they're hiding behind Marinette's trash can. And they're basically just, watching everything, commentating about it, and, they're feeling really bad because, in a way, this is partially their fault, because if it wasn't for them, Marinette and Adrian wouldn't be going through this. Now, obviously, this is not actually their fault. They did not do anything that led up to this. Nothing was their actual fault, but because of the fact that they are their holders, they're having all this trouble and can't really be together, which gets them thinking about what they're going to do from here on. Meanwhile, Alia and their other classmates are throwing this big party at the school because they're thinking that they just put the perfect plan together, and now Adrian is going to confess his feelings to Marinette, she's going to feel all better, and they're gonna be together. But Zoe is having second thoughts about this. She's basically, she's still concerned because of how depressing Marinette's voicemail is, which is odd that it's like I kind of get it. They're trying to show Marinette is depressed, but like, really, who re-records their voice message every couple of days or so, and every time their mood changes? Like, why is that a thing? Maybe that's a French thing, but I, for one, don't usually change my voice message whenever I'm having a mood swing. That would happen way too often, especially with my anxiety. But Alia's trying to tell her, oh, no, it's fine, this is gonna work out, you'll see. But they're like, well, just to make Zoe stop worrying, let's go ahead and call Adrian. So Adrian goes home all depressed, because Marinette told him that, she didn't love him anymore, and so he goes home all depressed and heartbroken. And Gabriel, at first I was like, good on you, Gabriel, for keeping to your word about not akumatizing Adrian, because he realizes that it's Adrian who's depressed, and is like, yeah, maybe I should hold this off and go talk to him. And so, before Adrian leaves, though, we get the scene of Tiki and Plag on the roof talking about, how this is really affecting them, and maybe it would be better if they weren't the miraculous holders of the Cat and Ladybug. maybe Master Fu was wrong to choose them. And they agree that they are going to take back the miraculous. But it was Plag's idea, which I will say caught me off guard, because with everything that we got in episodes 9 and 10, or sorry, 8 and 9, with everything that we got in episodes 8 and 9, you would think that it would be Tiki who would suggest this, but no, it was Plag. So, hey, good on Plag for showing a little bit of empathy here and realizing, no, yeah, this is what we need to do because it is tearing them apart. So they agree that they're going to, free them of this impossible choice, as Plag says it, and take the miraculous back and give them to other holders. So, Nino, back at the party, Nino calls Adrian, and Natalie, trying to earn back that best parent card, is comforting Adrian, being there for him, and we know that she knows about his feelings towards Marinette and everything, and that she's supportive of it. And she even tries to get Adrian to answer his phone when Nino calls, but he's like, can you just talk to him and reassure him for me, please? So, Natalie calls, and, she's very understanding about the whole thing. And, they send their love and everything. And then she gives Adrian some time alone and sees Gabriel coming up, and Mama Natalie is not having it. She's like, you are not going to manipulate him while he is in this vulnerable state right now. And he comes up and is like, I'm just here to comfort him, like a father. So she reluctantly steps aside, but she's still got her eye on him. And as she should, because when Gabriel goes in to talk to Adrian, he acts all understanding and everything and tells Adrian, you should wear the alliance. That way that way you can call me when this is happening. And then we find out later that it's actually because he wants to akumatize Adrian without knowing that he is Cat Noir. Excuse me, sir. You were supposed to avoid akumatizing Adrian because he is your son and you care about him. That's what happened in previous episodes where Adrian was upset and you refused to akumatize him. Excuse me, sir. I mean, I guess, he is, in a rush now because of the cataclysm on his arm, but excuse me, sir, you are breaking that promise that you made to never akumatize them. How dare you? Oh, I said them. Him. You're breaking your promise not to akumatize him. But yeah, so, rage moment aside, he convinces Adrian to start wearing the alliance, although Adrian takes it off right away, because, he doesn't actually want to wear this thing. And he's like, oh, and look, it even has an app on it that you can use to help you to feel better. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to help at all. Yeah, Gabriel leaves and Adrian's like, yeah, Alliance, turn off the app, and he takes it off. He's like, yeah, he's not wearing that. And then Tiki and Plag come in, and Tiki's was so sweet. She's like, you're the best miraculous holder. I'm going to miss you so much, but this is making you miserable, and I can't see you suffering like this anymore. I think it's time that you give me back the miraculous, and I'll find another holder so that you can be happy and be in love with Adrian. And Adrian gets Plag, who is a bit less sweet. He's like, I know I'm amazing, but, this is making you miserable, so, give me the miraculous back, and, yeah, you're never gonna forget me. Whereas Tiki's like, I'm never gonna forget you. And it's like, Plag, why did you have to ruin this sweet moment? But of course, and then, obviously, Adrian and Marinette agree, and they give up their miraculous, but they're sad about it, too, because they love Tiki and Plag. They're gonna miss them so much. And they love being Ladybug and Cat Noir. Well, Adrian a bit more so than Marinette at this point, but yeah. So they say goodbye, and then Tiki and Plag meet up to go and find new holders. And they're actually picking their holders out together, so they'll know right off the bat, it seems, who the other holders are. which is different from before. Like, obviously they can't ruin the secret identity thing and everything because they've got that spell on them. So obviously, you know, Tiki can't accidentally reveal who Kitty is, and Plaid can't accidentally reveal who Scarabella is. But they go to the school and pick out some new holders. But before that, Gabriel decides anyways that he is going to akumatize Adrian. Fortunately for Adrian, right at the end, right before the Mega Kuma can get to him, he sees the homework that he was supposed to give to Marinette and realizes, you know, maybe things will work out now. Because if you know, things still don't work, if I still can't cheer her up, maybe I could just tell her that I was Cat Noir, because I no longer have to keep that secret anymore. He doesn't say that out loud, but you know he's probably thinking that, because technically, yeah, that's true. He's no longer Cat Noir, so if he still can't get Marinette to cheer up, he could just tell her, hey, you know, I'm sorry that I hurt you. Listen, I gotta tell you, I was actually Cat Noir, but I didn't want it to hurt you again by going out with you as Cat Noir. I wanted to try and win you back as Adrian, but now I'm not going to have that miraculous anymore, so we could be together now. That could have definitely happened. It didn't happen, but that would have been an interesting alternate scene. Yeah, he leaves just before the Mega Kuma appears, and he's all cheered up, and Marinette's starting to cheer up too, because now she's realizing that, hey, I actually can have this relationship with Adrian now, because I'm not Ladybug anymore. I don't have this responsibility, and I don't have to worry about letting my relationship with him ruin my job as Ladybug and as Guardian. So she starts to cheer out too, which means that she's not even going to be depressed enough for Monarch to try and akumatize, so he instead finds... I have no idea who this guy is. He seems related to Nora somehow, because he's wearing a similar wrestling costume to hers, and obviously something involving her is what led to him getting akumatized. So I guess I was technically right. We got a new character. It was not Bob like I had initially thought. So yeah, brand new character that we know practically nothing about. We know from context clues that he is a wrestler and that he has some sort of working relationship with Nora. We don't know if they're like a couple, that they, you know, had a lover spat, or if this is something involving them as a tag team or whatever, because we don't get any of that info. Nora had been trying to talk to Alia about what was going on with her and this guy, but Alia kept rejecting her calls. Good job, Alia, because she was more concerned about, you know, trying to fix things with Marinette. Yeah, so that guy wound up getting akumatized. And we don't get to find out pretty much anything about this, aside from stuff that we hear later on from Nora. But, yeah, Adrian runs back to Marinette's and catches her while she's putting his photos back up on the wall. It's like, yay, she's putting his pictures back. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to give you your homework. And, you know, he notices that she's starting to feel better, and, you know, she basically corrects herself from earlier. It's like, yeah, actually, you know, I didn't actually mean that. So yeah, he goes in and he brings her her homework, and he realizes that Marinette's having trouble talking to him. So he comes up with this really adorable solution where he's like, okay, raise your right hand for yes, raise your left hand for no. So you don't actually have to talk. It's like, oh, that's actually really, really cute, really clever. And her face, when they're talking like that, is actually really adorable. So, you know, he asks her, you know, is it true that you no longer have feelings for me? And she basically says no. And it's like, so that means that you actually do have feelings for me. And basically, you know, they confirm, he's able to confirm that she actually does have feelings for him in this really cute way. And she starts giggling and smiling and is like, oh, like this one question that he asks, it's supposed to be yes, but she accidentally says no with her left hand. She's like, oops, I always confuse my left and right, hee hee. Basically confirming that she meant that to be a yes. It's like, oh, okay, that's sweet. And then, they basically, you know, they just confirm their feelings for each other. It's like really, really cute because he was able to find a way around her awkwardness. And it's like, I'm really glad I brought you back your homework. And she's like, I'm really glad you did. And it's like, oh, it's so sweet. But then we go back to the school. Party's over. They're trying to figure out what to do because Marinette and Adrian are both sad in their rooms. But at this point, they're not. So kind of a reverse from before. Before, they were partying because Adrian and Marinette should be a happy couple now, but they were actually sad and alone in their rooms. But now they're like all serious mode because Adrian and Marinette are sad and alone in their rooms, but now they're a happy couple. It's like, aw. But yeah, so they're trying to figure out what to do. And like they're trying to come up with ideas. And Zoe is still being like, you know, maybe we should just talk to them, you know, try to let them figure things out, you know, let's just take this slow and not try to push everything. And then we get Alia talking to Nora over the phone, and Nora tells us that, you know, she'd been trying to reach Alia and that she might have done something stupid, and she kind of put this embarrassing picture of this guy on social media, which is what put the nail in the coffin and got him akumatized. And Tiki and Plag are now watching from the ceiling. They're like, okay, we figured out. We actually saw this clip once before. It was released a couple months ago. So Tiki, you know, decides immediately on Alia because, you know, she's already been Scarabella. She already knows what to do, and she's been getting trained by Marinette. And Plag immediately goes to Nino, and it's like, wait, no, that wouldn't work because they're a couple, that we'd have the same problem. So Plag then sees Zoe trying to calm everyone down and be like, you know, maybe we should just talk to Marinette first before coming up with all these convoluted schemes. And Plag is like, yeah, I think I got it now. And he gets all excited at the idea of Zoe. So we were correct about Zoe being Kitty Noir. And Zoe is on her way over to see Marinette when Plag throws her the miraculous and is basically like, hey, come talk to me in private. Which, you know, obviously Zoe is going to be at least somewhat familiar with what a Kwame is because, you know, she was Vesperia, so she does have a little bit of experience because she's been a holder before. And then Tiki, but we don't actually get to see their conversation though, unfortunately. We just cut to Tiki and Alia, and Tiki is telling Alia that, you know, I took back Marinette's Miraculous, and I want you to be the new holder, but you can't tell Nino. It's better that you don't tell him. And Alia at first is hesitant because, you know, she doesn't feel comfortable keeping this from Nino, but she also knows that Marinette has been so miserable since she became Ladybug, and she wants Marinette to be happy. So she's like, you know what? If this will allow Marinette to be happy, then sure, I'll take the miraculous. I accept. So then we get back to Marinette and Adrian being cute in her room when the akumatized villain appears. And it's hard to say what his name was. It was like kind of a weird name, but it also kind of seems like that was his real name too. So I think that might have been his wrestling name, similar with how Nora, when she got akumatized, she was akumatized into a Nazi, which is also her wrestling name. So that seems to be what's going on here, is that he's getting, you know, his akumatized villain name is the same as his wrestling name. So Marinette and Adrian go up to the roof, and Marinette's like, or Ladybug's like, or Adrian is like, oh, well, I guess I can't go home yet, but I'm sure Ladybug will take care of this soon. And Marinette's like, yeah, Ladybug. And Cat Noir. It's like, oh, yeah, Cat Noir. But then obviously they see Scarabella and Kitty, and they're on the news and everything. It's like, oh, there's new holders. Wait, they're both new holders? And it's like, yeah. But of course, neither of them puts 2 and 2 together to say, oh, does that mean, wait, that's actually really, it's like, why would Ladybug give up her miraculous? Why did Cat Noir give up his miraculous? Because they're standing right next to you. But, you know, they probably don't want to even think about that, because it's like, well, they shouldn't know each other's identities, regardless, even though they could at this point, but obviously they can't know later on, because they're going to get their miraculouses back. So we know that from other episodes that have already been released. Thank you, Gloob! Anyways, so they're watching on the news. Scarabella and Kitty go and fight the villain, they're still figuring things out, but they do end up working well together. They actually end up defeating the villain pretty quickly, and I'm guessing that's mostly because the fight is not the focus of this episode. They realize where the Akuma is, that it's going to be in his head guard, but it's being protected by Shelter, which also has the reflective power. Also, something I forgot to mention was that Monarch was all excited about this guy wearing 5 alliances, saying, oh, I could give him 5 different miraculous powers. But Natalie was only wearing 1 miraculous back in Passion when she got to use those 5 powers. So the question there is, how is she getting all those other powers? If they can only do it by 1 alliance. I mean, maybe it's got something to do with the weapons that she created for herself, because she didn't get those other powers until that point, so that might be it. That, or they just forgot their own continuity. So that might be that's possibly a continuity error, but you know, maybe they'll explain that as, oh yeah, it was actually just that she was using those weapons that she got. Kitty and Scarabella, you know, they start fighting the villain. They don't even have time to introduce themselves, though. They're like, we'll introduce ourselves later. Let's just take care of this now. And it's like, so you're not even going to tell us her name? I mean, that's fine by me. I could still call her Kitty, because I could still keep the name Kitty Noir myself, unless they confirm it next episode, which we're not going to get for a while. Thank you, Gloob. But yeah, so they're fighting the villain, and they're like, oh yeah, let's do this. She cataclysms the Shelter, but it's got the repel power, and then Monarch gives him the mouse power so he can duplicate himself. But then Scarabella gets I'm guessing it's a blanket or something, or a parachute. Oh no, it wouldn't be a parachute, because a parachute would have a hole in it, but basically, they got this whole plan to basically have like this giant water balloon, but it's filled with paint. So I guess they're kind of taking a page from Legend of Korra. So they basically dump a bunch of paint on the guy's head, and so that he has to break the Shelter so he could see, and then they go and break the mouth guard, and that's it. And that's pretty much it. And then we get back to Marinette and Adrian, who were watching and are like, oh, well, I don't know who these new people are, or why Ladybug and Cat Noir didn't appear, but it looks like they've got it. And Marinette's like, I guess you have to go home now, too. And he's like, but I'll see you at school tomorrow. It's like, yeah, I'll see you at school tomorrow. So they're all hopeful and so cute and everything. And then we get the end where Gabriel gets a notification from his alliance because Alia and Zoe are wearing alliances, meaning the step tracker from the episode with Sokline has activated and caught on to the fact that Alia and Nino, or not Alia and Nino, Alia and Zoe are the new holders. So that's obviously going to come into play next episode, and that's probably what's going to lead to Marinette and Adrian taking back the miraculous due to Alia and Zoe having their identities exposed. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Plus, now Gabriel's going to have more of a reason to suspect Alia as well, because Alia is now was the new holder of the Ladybug Miraculous. She clearly is still some sort of special holder. But obviously Marinette's gonna take it back by the end of the next episode. So yeah. definitely a lot of interesting stuff. I don't know why we didn't get a name for Kitty, but I mean, hey, fine by me if they never actually confirm her name and if we never actually find out what her real name is. So nobody can actually say that Kitty Noir is a canon name anymore. So yay! But we'll see how things go next episode. We might get a name drop next episode, so we will see. I'm gonna go ahead and end this here for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos from me. We do all sorts of fun stuff on this channel, including playing video games, we do art, and I'll sometimes talk about cartoons and anime. So if you enjoy this stuff, then be sure to ring that bell icon and never miss a video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I hope you all have a very magical day.